Hi friends, this is Prabhakar. Welcome to my channel General Thoughts. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the introduction of the SQL. In today's agendas, these are the list of topics which we are going to cover in today's session. So we are going to cover only the theoretical session for these concepts today. The practical demo sessions will be take over from the next video onwards. So without further delay, let's get started now. So first we are going to see what is SQL. The SQL is nothing but it's a structured query language which is used for storing, manipulating and retrieving the data from the database server. And the SQL is used for across all the database management system like MySQL, SQL Server, MS Access, Oracle, Sybase, Informix, Postgres, Snowflake, Amazon Redshift, Teradata, and other database management system. So now we are going to see what are the different types of categories in the SQL. So there are 5 different types of categories in the SQL. So those are listed out here. Those are data definition language, data query language, data manipulation language, data control language, and transaction control language. And for the each category, what are the operations will be covered that will be listed out in the picture here. So for example, for the data definition language, the create, drop, alter, and the truncate. So these are the operations which comes under the data definition language. So likewise, the other operations are listed out for the each category in the picture. So we are going to discuss detail in the further sessions now. First, we are going to see what is the data definition language. So basically, these are the operations which we covered in the data definition language. The first is the create, drop, alter, truncate, and the rename. First, we are going to see what is the use of the create statement in the data definition language. Basically, the create statement is used to create the database and the database objects like table, index, function, views, and the store procedure. Now, let's see what is the syntax for the create statement. This is the syntax for the create statement. This create statement syntax is used to create the table called persons. This persons table is having, these are the list of columns and these are the list of data types of the each column. And this is the create statement for creating the index on the table for the particular column. So for example, here we are creating the index on the last name for the table persons. So this is the create statement, create index statement syntax for the on the table here. This is a syntax for creating the functions. Here we are declaring, so we are passing some of the variables values to this function to read some of the calculations here. Like that. So this is the create statement for creating the view from the base table. Here we are creating the view called the customers view from the customer table. Only this view is having only the 2 columns. And this is the create procedure statement for creating the procedure here. Basically, this procedure is created from the customer table. Yes, now let's go back to the DDL. Now next we'll see the what is a drop statement. The drop statement is basically used for to deleting the database objects from the database. And this is the drop table syntax for dropping the table persons table from the database. Next, we'll see the what is the alter statement. The alter statement is basically used for altering the structure of the table. For example, if you want to add any of the column or remove any of the column from the table, so we can execute through the alter statement. Here, this syntax is used to adding the column. like email to the customer table, and the data type of the email column is varchar. Here, when we are executing the syntax, it will add at the email column to the customer table with varchar, with the data type varchar. And the truncate. The truncate command is used to deleting the data from the table. For example, this is a syntax for truncating the data from the table. Truncate table and the table name. Here, if you look at here, right, so it will truncating the data from the persons table. And the rename. The rename command is used to renaming the column name of the any of the table. For example, here we are renaming the column name from last name to the last underscore name. For example, the person's table is having the column last name. So by executing this alter command, it will rename the column from last name to the last underscore name. So these are the basically pretty much about the data definition language. So yeah, next we are going to see DQL, data query language. So basically the select statement is used in the data query language. The select statement is used to retrieve the data from the database tables. For example, this is the syntax of the select statement actually. So here select star from customer. This syntax is used to retrieve all the columns from the customer table. But if you look at this select statement, it will only retrieve the customer name and the city column from the customer table. Only it will retrieve only this data of these two columns only. This is the pretty much about the data query language. But the operation for the demo session of these DDL, DML and other operations, right, we'll see from the next video. We are covering only the theoretical session in this video. This is the DML, data manipulation language. These are the list of operations which we covered in this data manipulation language. The first is the insert. Basically, the insert command is used to inserting the data into the table. This is a syntax for the inserting the data into the table. Here, insert into the table name, and these are the columns, and these are the values. What is the value which we are going to insert into the table? So this is the syntax for inserting the data into the table. And update. The update command is used to updating the data for the particular column in the table. For example, this is a syntax for update statement. Here, this update statement is used to update the table for the column contact name equal to this value and the city equal to this value for the customer ID equal to 1. So in the table customer table where the customer ID equal to 1, so for that data, so these are the two columns will be updated with this value. Delete statement. The basically the delete statement is used for to deleting the data for the given range or the given period. For example, so here we are going to delete the data from the customer table where the customer name equal to this value. So when we are executing this command, so it will be deleting the data from this customer table where the customer name equal to this value. And the no lock. So basically it is used for the table control concurrency. So this is for the no when we are executing this select statement with no lock, so it will not put any lock on the table. So basically problem to other process actually. So still other process also can read the data from this table, but it may lead to a dirty read lock. And next we are going to see what is a execute. So the basically this execute is command is used for executing the stored procedures. Explain plain. So basically it is describes about the access path to the data plane. For example, when we are trying to execute the select statement in the database server, better we can go with the explain plain. Basically when we are executing select statement, so we will go with the explain plan because it will generate a best efficient plan for to execute the SQL. So this is pretty much about the data manipulation language. Next, we are going to see what is a data control language. So basically, these are the two operations which we covers in a data control language. The one is a grant and another one is a revoke. So basically, these two commands which we are used for to providing the access privileges to the database objects to the users. So this is the first command is grant privilege on object to the user. So these are the list of privileges: select, insert, update, delete, references, alter, and all. So these are the privileges which we can granting to the users on the particular object. Same thing, we can revoking the privileges on the object from the user by executing this revoke command actually. Yes, this is a pretty much about the data control language. So I'll show the demo session from the next video onwards on, for this data control language. So next we are going to see what is transaction control language. So basically these three comes under the transaction control language. This commit syntax is used for committing the transaction. Basically here the begin transaction and the commit transaction. So when we are this delete statement is executed perfectly, so then this transaction will be committed. So this is the syntax for the commit transaction. Next is the rollback. Rollback. If any of the failure is happened, then the transaction will be rolled back. For example, this delete statement is having some issue. So if it is in case if it is failure, right, then this transaction will be rolled back actually. So before deleting, how the data was in that this table, right? So that will be rolled back actually. Next is the save point. The save point is setting the save point to the transactions actually. So here, so these are the list of operations which we performing here. The first update operation is once is executed, then it is save point to this level, then it is executed. The next update statement is executed, then it is the save point set to this level, sum of the salary from the employee table. So then we are roll back to the save point to the this state actually. So then we are updating this table. Basically this is a syntax for rollback. So next we are going to see what can we do with the SQL. Basically, yes, as far as we know, so we can do all the DDL, DML, DCL and the TCL operations we can do with this SQL basically. So it is used for executing the queries, retrieving the data from the database, and then inserting the record to the database, updating the records, deleting the records, creating the new database, and creating the new tables and the database objects, store procedures, views, and so on. So basically, these are the operations which we can handle by the SQL. Next, we are going to see what is database and the table. Yes, the database nothing but it's a collection of the tables and the database objects. The table is the collection of related data entries and the consist of column and the rows. The table is the collection of the data which represented in a rows and the column. The tables is stored in the database. For example, here the customer and the orders are the basically there's examples of the tables here, and the we can retrieve the data from the tables using the select statements like this. For example, here select store from customer, select customer name, city from the customer. Examples of to retrieve the data from the tables. Example of the table is an example of the customer table. Basically, this customer table is having the customer ID, customer name, and other related informations in the customer table. So that's all pretty much about the introduction of the SQL. We'll see the demo session from the next video onwards of these each operations. So thank you. Take care. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel and press bell icon for latest videos. Also please do like, share and comments. We'll see you in the next video. Bye. Take care.